Bane fighting Tallahassee from Zombieland, directed by Gollum. This should be awesome. Hey film fans, I'm Jack Benner, and welcome to my review of Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Let There Be Carnage is the sequel to the 2008 Marvel superhero film Venom, this time directed by Andy Serkis, starring Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson. The story this time is we meet up again with Eddie Brock, once again played by Tom Hardy, who is adjusting to life with Venom and also pursuing his journalism career. When he's investigating a serial killer named Cletus Cassidy, played by Woody Harrelson, Cassidy later becomes a host of Eddie's symbiote, and when his execution goes wrong, he becomes Carnage. Now, my thoughts on the 2018 predecessor Venom: when I first saw the movie, I gave it a 1.5 stars out of 5, and now looking back to it, I did warm up to it a little, but I don't really think it's a good movie. I think it's kind of mediocre. Even if the banter between Eddie and Venom was kind of entertaining, the villain was just a total bore. The action was pretty weak, especially that awful climax with Venom and Riot. And the performances in that movie, aside from Tom Hardy, were just dull. Which is a shame because Riz Ahmed and Michelle Williams are both terrific actors, and their talents in that movie just felt wasted. I don't hate it, I don't know if I really like it, I just think it's very meh, so I give it a 2.5 stars out of 5, it would be a C+. And if I were to watch a Venom movie that came out in 2018, I'll stick with Upgrade. That is an awesome movie that I think is underrated. And a sequel was happening, and my thoughts were neutral. On one hand, the first movie didn't really get me excited about a sequel happening, but I also felt like there could be room for improvement, and now that we have a new director, an unexpected choice, Andy Serkis, and I do think Andy Serkis is a phenomenal actor. The only movie I know from him as a director would be that Netflix Jungle Book movie that came out in 2018. I didn't really go in with the highest expectations or lowest expectations. I just went in with an open mind, just let's see how this goes, hopefully I'll enjoy it. And now that I've seen Venom: Let There Be Carnage recently, it's pretty similar to what I thought of the first movie. It's fine. It's okay. However, I can say this. It is a slight improvement over the first movie. Let's start with the positives. Tom Hardy is still entertaining as Eddie Brock / Venom. He definitely knows what types of movies he's in with this and the first, and he's just having fun with it. And he still does a good job voicing Venom. And the back and forth banter between Eddie and Venom is still entertaining to watch. They still have their funny moments, just them arguing, and how Venom is just constantly bugging Eddie about eating people. There's still some charm to that, and I still did enjoy it this time. But what would be my favorite part about this movie is Woody Harrelson as Carnage. I was excited that we finally get to see Carnage on the big screen since he's a Spider-Man villain I've been wanting to see in a live-action movie for years. And I do think Woody Harrelson is a great actor, so I was curious to see how he was going to play the role after that mid-credit scene in the first movie and that awful, ridiculous-looking Ronald McDonald wig. And for what he did, I thought Woody Harrelson did an entertaining job as Carnage. He is definitely chewing up the scenery in this movie, and he just looks like he's having a blast in this role, just relishing it. And every time Woody was on screen, I was enjoying him. And there are some cool action scenes here and there, even though the action in this movie feels pretty forgettable to me. I would say the action scene I enjoyed the most in this movie was when we get to see Carnage for the first time and he's escaping prison. That was pretty cool. And I do think the CGI on Venom and Carnage are pretty well done. Although the CGI in this movie, not perfect, there are some noticeable CGI shots here and there that didn't look very good. And that's pretty much all the positives I have to say for this movie, and now let's get into the negatives. First, I felt like this and the first movie were wasted potential. I did feel like this sequel probably went on the silly and comedic side of Venom too much, when I felt like there could be potential for a dark, tortured Venom movie with some moments of comedy here and there. I felt like that would have been more compelling to watch. And there were some moments of comedy and eye-rolling dialogue in this movie that just made me roll my eyes, that made me think, did they really just say that? And there is one comedic moment where Venom goes to a rave and I just thought, this isn't really funny and this doesn't really make me care about the symbiote Venom. It's just like, I don't really care about this, honestly. And one of the disappointing things about this movie was Andy Serkis' directing. And I gotta be honest, when I was watching this movie, I couldn't help but think he was a director for hire for this movie. I didn't feel like he brought that much of a style to this movie or really anything that was noteworthy to me in terms of directing. And if I never knew Andy Serkis directed this movie, I would have been shocked. I was like, really? This was directed by Andy Serkis? And I felt like anyone could have directed this movie. One certain character I was not a fan of in this movie was Shriek, played by Naomi Harris, who was fantastic in Moonlight. I was not a fan of her performance in this movie. She was way too over the top, and I just did not really care about her character or her relationship with Carnage. And I felt like both her and Carnage, despite that I enjoyed Woody's performance in this movie, they were pretty underdeveloped villains. And I felt like Carnage had a potential to have a compelling backstory, just a dark character. And I felt like Carnage's backstory was just rushed. And it was like, there could have been more to explore with this character. More of the darkness, torture side with him. And their romance, I especially didn't care for. That was just like rushed, just like one line of dialogue. It was like they fell in love with each other and just that was it. And again, Michelle Williams is back in this movie and she feels completely wasted. It's such a shame that they got a fantastic actress in this movie who's got multiple Oscar nominations but barely given anything interesting to do and just a waste of talent. Overall, Let There Be Carnage, even if it's a slight improvement over the first movie, similar to the first, just feels like another generic and mediocre superhero movie. Tom Hardy is still good along with the fun Eddie and Brock banter, and Woody Harrelson was enjoyably over the top as Carnage, but sadly has a weak story, fun but forgettable action, and pretty underdeveloped villains. I would recommend this movie to you if you enjoyed the first movie or if you are interested in seeing this sequel. Do check it out, interested to hear what you think of it. I would not recommend this movie if you haven't seen the first movie or if you hated it and no interest in seeing the sequel. You can skip it if you want. And if you do want to see a Marvel movie that's currently playing in theaters, just go see Shang-Chi. That movie is way better than Let There Be Carnage. But what I can say is, I'm glad this movie has made $90 million on its opening weekend regardless of my thoughts on this movie. I'm glad this movie is still keeping movie theaters alive. And also, if you do see this movie, stay for the mid-credit scene because oh, that was pretty exciting without spoiling anything. Cool mid-credit scene aside, I would say just wait for a rental on this one. Overall, I am going to give Venom Let There Be Carnage 2.5 stars out of 5, a C+. Again, it's a pretty meh movie. I'll probably forget this movie pretty soon. If they do decide to make a Venom 3 in the future, I still hope there's room for improvement and hopefully we get a much better Venom movie in the future. So what do you guys think of Venom Let There Be Carnage? Do you agree? Disagree with me? Let me know below. Make sure to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe if you're new here. It really means a lot. I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review.